Have you ever thought to yourself, boy, I would sure enjoy some sort of above the clouds adventure? Well, it's not that far away. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. Yo, bro, that's sick. Oh, thank you, guys. Oh my God. It's real magic. I know! I'm impressed! Hey there, D-Sauce here. And today, we're gonna be making a magic carpet. That's right, first thing you're gonna need is a skateboard. I use this backfire. The other thing that you're gonna need is a carpet. A carpet. Now me, I was going for the Aladdin. So Aladdin's carpet, I would say, is something like 3x5, which is what I got. And I got these little tassels right here, sewed them onto the corner. Boom, right? Now, I will say that this isn't the correct color for Aladdin, but if you want the actual Aladdin carpet, the actual color and pattern and everything, it's like $300, and I'm not doing it. You're gonna need something to cut with, which a coping saw. If you don't have power tools or anything like that, a coping saw will do it. You're gonna need some foam. This is just some insulation foam. It's an expandable foam. It comes in a just like this. Now the one that I use is about an inch and a half. And then you're gonna need some 2x4s and some of these little casters. These things come in a 4-pack, and or at least they did for me, and they weren't that expensive. Now the other thing, and last but not least, I should have said this first, is you're gonna need a piece of plywood. So the very first thing you want to do is you want to take your carpet, line it up with the edges of your plywood, mark it. You're marking it so that you know how big the carpet actually is. Okay. Thing is, we're not gonna mark it. We're not gonna cut it where the actual mark is. So essentially, what I want you to do is that I want you to take that line that you just made and then subtract anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, depending on how you want your carpet to sit on here. Because one of the things that I had an issue with last year is that I wanted it to sort of hang over and be able to flow a little bit, almost like a flying carpet, believe it or not, but I didn't have enough, right? So it was sort of stiff and rigid. If you want that bad boy to be completely flat, just take off an inch or two. Because I will say this, you want a little bit hanging over to tuck over the sides, just in case you hit somebody or something, right? You don't want to hit somebody with a piece of plywood. You want to hit them with a piece of plywood covered with carpet. I'm just going to put it right at 5 feet. Boop. Now that I have that, if you have a chalk line, use a chalk line. I'm just marking it so that I know where to cut. You know what they say? Cut multiple times, measure one. So now we have the piece of plywood that we want. This is the carpet in comparison, okay? So if you look right here, right to the edge, you see I've got this much hangover. Boom, boom. 4 inches, essentially. What you do, or what I did, is that I took this foam and I built it up in certain ways to make it look as though it's not because you got to think, if your butt is sitting on a carpet, where is the carpet going to be completely flat, or is there going to be a little bit of a sag in the middle? So I create the sag in the middle. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is that you want to take the excess wood that you got and you want to cut a couple of strips out of it. Basically just some 4 or 5 inch strips. Now one thing that you do want to do is that you want to go with the grain. If you cut against the grain, it's going to make that piece of material really brittle. I'll cut a piece off to show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, with the grain, against the grain. Not even hard. See? You'll know if you've done wrong. You're gonna be like, boy, this is so flimsy. And if you feel like that's the case, you may have done it wrong. Okay, so now that we have all 4 pieces, I want to show you. It's not perfect. They're not exactly the same. All you're gonna do is you're gonna take one long piece and the other long piece, put it on one side, one short piece and the other short piece, and put it on the other. These are number 6s. 3/4 is just mainly for the fact that you don't want to go through both pieces all the way. I would say at least 3/4 of an inch away from the edge. Okay, so you should end up with a piece that looks somewhat like this. Okay, notice I didn't go all the way to the edge. That way I could put these little pieces of foam on there to make some sort of profile, right? Essentially what I did is I just used foam. I used a spray adhesive on the back of it, which held for the night, but in all truthfulness, it tends to sort of melt into this type of foam right here. But wood glue does pretty good. I would say a paste adhesive would probably do a little bit better. But you're gonna take the foam and you're gonna put it on there and make your profile, however you wanna do it. And I took the carpet, threw it over it, okay? So you could see how it creates this bowl effect right here. That way, you know, your candy and everything else and you yourself are not falling out, right? But what I did is that I took some Bradley nails, I folded the carpet over, and then I tacked them right here, right? One right here, basically 4 on each side, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, and then I took some screws and I seated them inside on the edges, about here and here, here and here, and here and here, and I screwed them far enough in to where it was set deep enough into the carpet to where it's not gonna, you know, end up poking me or anything like that. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna be figuring out what the center of the board is. This is definitely my first time doing it. I didn't say 17 the first time. This one is 39, so it's 19.5. We'll mark it here and then on the front as well. And then you want to get the measurement for the sides, which is 5 foot. I've already marked it at 30 inches. 30 inches. Then you want to get a straight edge. Once you have the center line, get your skateboard, and you want to get the exact same measurement. What is the center of the skateboard? Now that we have those marked, we're going to take the board, flip it upside down, and we're going to line it up. Okay. So you can see, here's my center line. I'm going to move that. You can see my center line here, so I'm going to move it to there. So if you want to check that it's center, right, put the board where you think that it's going to line up. Measure from the edge. It's 15 exactly, geez. Now once you have your board centered the way that you want it to, you're just going to make a rough outline of it. Just keep your pencil as straight as you can, okay, and just make a rough outline. So all that I've done here is that I've put foam on the basic lines that I've made for my skateboard. Just so the skateboard sits on top of it and the foam presses out onto it. That way I don't have to have the blocking pressing so hard on the board that that's what's actually holding it. It's actually pressing into the foam, which will hold it in place and create enough tension to keep it from wobbling all over the place. So all you're doing is you're taking a 2x4 and you're going to cut it to length. And then I cut it down to 1.5 inches. I know that my blocking is going to have to sit here and here. You can see that the blocking isn't actually touching the board. When you put it on the foam is thick enough to push the board up enough to press up against this and really give it some tension, okay? So essentially, all that you want to do is that you want to take this blocking right here, okay? And you can eyeball it, whatever you want to do, okay? Give yourself roughly how high you want this blocking to be, and how deep can it go. So if I'm going here, all right, I'm not going to be able to, I can only push this inside that far, okay? But if I'm going here, right, I can only push it this far. So essentially, I need to make a cut somewhat like that. So you can see it's not that smooth. You can smooth it out by sanding it, but essentially it's going over. You see that? Okay, so these pieces here are just reference pieces. Essentially, the board should sit right on the edge of this piece and this piece here. The board should be touching this block here, along with the other two. And that way I know it's set in the same spot every time. So now that we have the board firmly secured, okay, you can see it is not giving way. Now, the last thing that I will say, which I'm not even certain that this is completely necessary, is the casters, which essentially these will just let you know, hey, that's as far of a turn as you can get, which I had no problems with it. Either they work or they were unnecessary. It's one of the two. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah?
Don't go shooting all the dogs, cause one of them got fleas. Don't just listen to these songs and think that you got grease. They just lyrics, I be venting to this mic, it's therapy. You can leave, but the mother got sweat, they not in. Godspeed, sweetie, living out my dreams. I don't need a genie, pops did Madonna show. Music in my blood, it was destined for
We tell this other people and they won't believe us.
you gon' need a treat. This is a lie. There is only passion. And the passion I get stronger. Long days working on getting better, but they only get
Oh my God!
staying there is much harder. I've been flying out to islands so remote we must charter. Been a pro for 10 years, trying to go this. Leave something for my son and my daughter in case of my departure.
Is that Aladdin? Is that what chat has roast? Wait! Wait! No! That not help! Wait! What the? Bro!
Hey there. Leave it for my little ones, my real ones. For people trying to feel something. For all the bridges burned along the way and how we still run and still swim. Even though we underwater, never hit the kill switch. And overcome like everything we deal with. I still feel there's more for me to do until I call it quits. Everything I do is for the
All right. Just testing it out, you know. Yeah. Just not quite used to riding a carpet yet. Yeah. It actually works, believe it or not. All right.
I make this